Word Chapter 2, Pause and Practice 2.2. On the left I have the instructions. On the right I have the file that we completed at the end of 2.1. We're going to continue to work on this file. So I am going to start here at step number 3 because we already have the file named what we needed it. So the first thing it says is to edit the document properties. Remember that document properties are found in Backstage View. So we're going to go to Backstage View by clicking on the file, and then we need to go down here to Info. Over on the right is your properties, and I'm going to bring this over just a smidgen. So what we want to do is we're going to put a title in here. So I'm going to find the property of title, and I'm going to say Rochelle Wilkinson, and that's all the properties I need right now. So I'm going to use the back arrow to return to the resume. So step number 4, I'm going to insert a document property field in the header of the resume. Okay, so what we're doing here is I set up the stage so that we can use a property field, a document property field. So there's all kinds of fields that are attached to a document. And what we did is we populated one of those fields, the field called title, with some content. Rochelle Wilkinson, the name. So now we can turn around and use that field to place it in a document in one or more places. And what this is really good for is, let's say something would change. Let's say Rochelle got married, got divorced, whatever, changed her name. So instead of having to go through everywhere that had her name in this document, I could just change that field property and it would automatically populate in those spots. So we're going to do that right now in the header of this resume. So we're on the first page and we need to go to the Insert tab because we want to insert a header. So headers and footers. Headers are things that lines of text or lines that appear at the top of every page. Footers are things that appear at the bottom of the page. Oftentimes it's things like page number, report date. Often in the header you have document, a title. You know, if you're doing a research paper, maybe it's a running header. It could be all different kinds of things. It could be a logo from your company. And when you put it in the header or the footer, you only need to put it in there once and then it'll populate the pages. So what we're going to do now is put in the property of title. So the first thing I need to do is get to the header. So I'm going to do Insert, and then I want to find the header button, right? And I am going to, so I use the arrow and I'm going to come down here and say Edit Header because I don't want one of the pre-built ones. So now look, it opens up this space and my document is now gray, right? And you could certainly close it here, but let me show you a quick trick. I'm in the header, right? So that's bold. If I type, see it's bold. And the document is grayed out. If I double click on the document, boom. Double click on the header, I go into header. Body of the document. So you can navigate back and forth to these two areas instead of having to go through all of that. So we want to be in the header. And on the header tab, header and footer tab on the ribbon, we want to find where we can put that information. So it's in this insert group. So I'm going to pick document info, and it brings up a very small subset, but I want you to see that you can do document property or you can do field, which is all of the fields that are available in Word. But we know we want the document title because that's where I typed in the name. So I'm just going to click, and look, if it fills in the whatever I had entered in that Backstage View info field. Now, one of the things that you want to watch, do you see my insertion point? It's inside that box, right? So anything I do, it's still inside of the box. So I'm going to use my right arrow key, and I just moved one to the right. It doesn't even look like I moved, but what I did was I moved outside of the box. Okay, you don't want that still selected when you go to do something. All right, so what we want to do is insert a page number and the number of pages in the header. So those are two fields, right? So we've right-clicked to deselect the property field. We're going to hit tab 2 times. Remember tab? So look, here's a tab. That's a center. Look at the way the tab looks. And then here's a tab right aligned. So when I hit tab once, I go to this. Hit tab twice, I go to that tab stop. So now what I want to do is type page, and notice how it moves to the left because I have a right aligned tab. So I did page space, and now I want to put the current page number in there. So if I come up here to the header and footer group, over here, page number, I'm going to click that down. I want to do it at the current position, and I want it to just be a plain number, right? So let me show you that again. I positioned my cursor where I wanted in the header and footer, page number, current position, plain number. Okay, so there, I'm on page 2 here. So look, it shows page 2. If I scroll up, it says page 1. Okay, but I want to do of, and then page number. So like 1. So let's say you have 10. It's always a good idea to let your, when you print it, you want to know that you got all the pages, right? So you got 8 pages. Well, it doesn't kind of look like the end of the document. Did I get them all? Well, if you have, you know, page 1 of 8, 2 of 8, 3 of 8, when you get to 8 of 8, you know you got the last page, right? Or it's 8 of 10 and you're missing 2. So we always like to kind of put that how many total pages. And so that is a field that we can do. And we can get to it 2 ways. We can get to it through document info field, or we can get through it from quick parts field. Doesn't matter. We're getting to the field, right? It's going to look the same once we get there. So once I hit field, then it shows, look, I have all my categories, and it has all of the possible fields that you can use. I want to find the one that says num pages. And like, let's say you're like, I don't know which of these to use. Well, if you move through them, down here it's a description. So right there you know, okay, this is the number of pages in a document. That's what I want. That's what I want. And we don't need, let's see, num pages, format. We're going to do this 1, 2, 3, and okay. And then once we're there, we want to hit enter 2 times, enter, enter. That's going to give us some spacing there. And just validate that your page 1 of 2 looks good, or your 2 of 2, whichever you are. Now, we're not quite done yet because this is a resume, right? So we don't really need Rochelle's name here because it's right here, right? So what we could do is select this box that says different first page. And so what that'll do is it'll remove it from the first page, but if I scroll down, it's on page 2. And if her resume goes to 3 pages, it would be on the 3rd page and the 4th, and so on as it expands in her career. So I am all done with my header. I can do close header or footer, or I could just double click on the document. That is it for pause and practice number 2. Please let your instructor know if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you.